The Printer's Tale, From Metal to Magic, The Sparks of an Idea. In a dimly lit workshop in 1440s Mainz, Germany, the air thick with the smell of hot metal and oil, a man named Johannes Gutenberg was obsessed. He wasn't a scribe, he was a craftsman, a master of forming small, precious things. His vision was not to copy a single book, but to create a system that could copy any book, thousands of times. Gutenberg understood that the future was not in carving whole wooden blocks, a slow and imperfect process. It was in making the components of words, the individual letters, agile. He spent years experimenting with alloys, eventually creating a perfect mix of lead, tin, and antimony. This allowed him to cast thousands of identical, durable metal letters, which he called movable type. The final key was the press itself. He adapted a simple screw press, the kind used for making wine or pressing paper. His design allowed a massive, flat surface, the platen, to evenly and quickly press a sheet of paper onto a complete page of his newly arranged metal type, held within a heavy iron frame. This image, the origin of all printing, captures that moment. Gutenberg, in his apron, carefully inspects the first ever proof from his revolutionary machine. The silent revolution. Gutenberg's invention was like a spark that ignited a silent wildfire. Over the next 4 centuries, the small manual workshop evolved into a thunderous industrial operation. The individual metal letters of Chapter 1 were still used, but they were now set into massive pages called forms that were locked into place on enormous, steam-driven machines. The 19th century brought a huge leap, the invention of lithography, and then, most crucially, the offset press. These new machines didn't apply direct, vertical pressure like Gutenberg's. Instead, they used a series of rotating cylinders. One cylinder would hold a metal printing plate, which would transfer or offset the ink to a second cylinder, covered in a rubber blanket. Finally, the rubber cylinder would press the image onto the fast-moving paper. In this image, we move from Gutenberg's quiet, candlelit room to a vast, loud, industrial printing hall. The operator, in a heavy work shirt, monitors an enormous rotary offset press, a machine made of precision-engineered steel rollers. This shift from manual force to rotating, mechanical continuous motion increased printing speeds 1,000 times over, making books, newspapers, and magazines available to every person on Earth. The Age of Light. The 20th century transformed the definition of power from physical force to control over electricity and information. Printing, too, underwent a fundamental change. The heavy, steam-driven mechanical brute force that defined the industrial era, Chapter 2, was about to be replaced by something faster, cleaner, and infinitely more precise: light. In the late 1960s, a team at Xerox, led by Gary Starkweather, began experimenting with a new concept, using a laser beam to write an image directly onto a photoconductive drum. This light would discharge certain areas of the drum, allowing tiny particles of dry ink, toner, to electrostatic cling to the charged areas. The toner was then fused onto the paper with heat. This was the birth of laser printing. It eliminated the need for complex heavy metal printing plates or individual movable type, the foundations of chapters 1 and 2. Now, a machine could print a completely unique image on every single page, instantaneously, driven purely by digital data. In this image, we see a massive Xerox 9700 electronic printing system in a late 1970s computer room. An engineer in a simple tie monitors a control console. The scene is immaculate. Inside the open access panel, a fine, cool, blue-violet laser beam traces an invisible pattern onto a rotating drum. A moment of precision engineering that represents the total control of light over matter. A profound shift from the physical mechanics seen in image_1.png and image_0.png.
Join us now to support the world of innovation and see the next amazing inventions. Like and subscribe Storybook.